Over the course of its 122-year history, the AFL has seen its fair share of fierce rivalries, many of which are as strong now as they have ever been. The longest standing traditional rivalries would have to be those featuring some of the big Victorian teams in the league. Carlton v Collingwood is without doubt one of the strongest rivalries in the AFL, while Hawthorn and Essendon have built a strong dislike for one another, originally built on a number of grand final matchups between the teams in the early 80s. The rivalry would reach its tipping point in the 2004 Line in the Sand game, when the match turned into total chaos as a massive brawl broke out.
Currently though, Winderley was taken on, must get the free kick.
It is on everywhere in here, boys. Spot fires all over the place.
And there it is, Baccioni, Allman, and Vandenberg letting lefts and rights go to the feet.
You can't do that.
And here comes Welsh to remonstrate with Vandenberg.
This is the 1980s revisited.
And McPhee's bloody to the eye there.
McPhee's caught one. He'll have to go up into the blood rule.
Turnover. Lloyd can give it to Lucas, who will stroll in. No, he handballs to Mercedes, and he will stroll in.
Oh, that's got to be another kick.
He's going to get it.
He's going to get another kick. There's Jacobs, and look at Crow. Well, Steve, what do you think?
18 players would be charged by the AFL tribunal following the game. Rivalries in the AFL take on a whole new meaning for teams outside of Victoria, however. With all other states being two-team towns, this means any success or failure these teams achieve will be compared to their cross-town rivals. In Western Australia, the West Coast Eagles and Fremantle Dockers face off in the Western Derby. Fremantle entered the AFL in 1995, 8 years after the Eagles. In those 8 years, the Eagles had become a powerhouse of the competition, winning 2 premierships and playing in 3 grand finals. And when the Dockers entered the league, West Coast were determined to remain the best team in the West. The Eagles would go on to win the first 9 Western Derbies from 1995 to 1999. Fremantle finally broke through for their first win over West Coast in the second Derby of the 1999 season, and would have their own run of Derby dominance, winning 15 of the 20 games between 2006 and 2015. Some of the most controversial derbies include the Demolition Derby in 2000, when a number of fights and a massive brawl broke out. About 11 players were punished as a result of the brawl, including Fremantle's Dale Kickett, who was suspended for 9 games.
Down goes Fletcher, claimed immediately, and we'll have a bounce, and again it's off. And God let one fly. Fletcher not amused either.
While in 2018, the two teams came to blows again after West Coast's Andrew Gaff punched 18-year-old Fremantle player Andrew Brayshaw in the face. Brayshaw suffered a broken jaw and severe damage to his teeth. Once Brayshaw's teammates had realised what had happened, they had one objective in mind for the rest of the game: get Gaff.
Oh. And Palatine had him lined up. It's a free kick, and things are starting to boil over. This is starting to look like the derbies of old. Back when Pav was throwing his weight around all those years ago.
50 metres, where's the ball? Fremantle, come with me, it's a 50 metres.
Lost the last couple of goals, and that man, Andrew Gaff, is going to be the focus of plenty of attention. Gaff digging deep. Oh, he was there, and they got him. Ryan and Johnson.
He looks fine. This could get interesting.
A volatile situation. Combustible.
But we have just got confirmation that Andrew Brayshaw has been taken to hospital with a suspected broken jaw.
Gaff would be suspended for 8 games, and as a result he missed out on the Eagles' premiership win that year. After 50 games, the current Derby record sits at 30 wins for West Coast and 20 for Fremantle. In South Australia, the Adelaide Crows and Port Adelaide Power go head-to-head in the showdown. The Power joined the AFL in 1997, 6 years after the Crows, and caused a major upset when they won the first showdown by 11 points. In round 5, 2002, the Power beat the Crows by 8 points, but the real action took place later that night when players from both sides crossed paths at a local hotel, and sure enough, a fight soon broke out. Perhaps the biggest showdown of all time occurred in 2005 when the Crows and Power met in a semi-final. With stakes at an all-time high, the Crows smashed the Power by 83 points, not only ending Port Adelaide's season, but also giving the Crows a perfect 3-from-3 record in showdowns that season. The showdown is considered by some to be the greatest rivalry in the AFL, for From 47 meetings, the record currently sits at 24 wins for Adelaide and 23 wins for Port Adelaide. In Queensland, the Brisbane Lions and the Gold Coast Suns face off in the QClash. For 24 years, Brisbane were the only AFL side from Queensland. From 1987 to 1996 as the Brisbane Bears, and from 1997 onwards as the Brisbane Lions, following a merge with Victorian side Fitzroy. In 2011, this all changed as the Gold Coast Suns joined the AFL. While many have said that the QClash is a manufactured rivalry that lacks the spite of Western Derbies and Showdowns, it can't be denied that the strength of the rivalry has grown over the years, off the back of a number of incidents.
The handball didn't need to play on there. He had Robinson right there with him, but he keeps going. Oh. He has flattened Stephen Martin. And Stephen Martin has been laid out and hasn't moved.
After 18 meetings, the record currently sits at 12 wins for Brisbane and 6 wins for Gold Coast. In New South Wales, the Sydney Swans and Greater Western Sydney Giants go head-to-head in the Battle of the Bridge. Much like Brisbane in Queensland, the Swans were the only AFL team in New South Wales for 30 years after they relocated from South Melbourne in 1982. The Giants joined the AFL in 2012, making the Battle of the Bridge the youngest of the crosstown rivalries in the AFL. The bad blood between the teams began to grow when the Swans recruited league superstar Lance Franklin. Many believed that Franklin was set to sign with the Giants, but GWS were forced to withdraw from the race for Franklin's services after their rivals offered a whopping 9-year, $10 million deal. Unlike most of the other crosstown rivalries in the AFL, the Swans and Giants have faced off in finals a number of times, with GWS winning both games.
And the Little Brothers, they lead the chance. GWS 3-4, Sydney 3-3, and now Buddy and Stevie J exchanging pleasantries.
After 18 games, the record sits at 11 wins for the Swans and 7 wins for the Giants.
He has flattened Stephen Martin.
Bounce, and again it's off.